I am convinced that we live, like today's world is all about pleasure, man. It is about feeling good. And you can do it back to back to back to back. And then the crazy part is the hangover from a lot of feeling good is awful. It's awful. Binge watch something all day and then try to stand up and move around. Your body feels awful. You feel awful. Your head probably hurts. You've been eating horrible. It doesn't feel good. What scares me the most is I believe that most of us have been seduced in some way to believe that discipline hurts us and moving any way that we want to, like feeling good is what is the way to go. And I've always said this, that discipline creates freedom and randomness puts you in a cage. Our lives and how they play out equal the sum total of every decision that we make. One of the reasons that most futures don't change is because we do not practice awareness in the micro decisions that we make. We do not steer towards momentary discomfort for future pleasure.
Let's lay your goals, let your greatness flow with inspirational perspective.
The topic is how to disrupt your future. And the subtitle is Evaluating the Cost of Today's Decision. And I should have wrote or indecision, like the decisions we make or the decisions we don't make, because not making a decision is also a choice. And I think sometimes that's what gets us the most, indecision. And not really knowing how to make decisions, especially around the things that we perceive as important in our lives. And so that's what I want to talk about today. When you think about the future, I think about the future a lot, a whole lot. And I don't know if it's I honestly don't know if it's like the mark of being a man. I'm sure women think about the future as well. The mark of being a husband, where you're like, okay, I got responsibility. The mark of being a father, where I'm thinking about my children's future as well, like who they'll be, who they'll grow into, what's their purpose. But the future ultimately is not shaped tomorrow. It's shaped today. And I think that's the piece, like for those of us who are thinking about the future, that sometimes we may not like fully really understand. And the conversation that I want to have today is really about the cost, like evaluating the cost of the decisions I make today. Are the decisions I'm making today going to support the future I'm looking to create? Or am I actually making life much more difficult for myself? I can remember in my early 20s, I ain't really had much money, and I was just really trying to figure it out. And the thing I would tell myself all the time, like thinking about the future, is, well, if I'm not working, that means I'm probably getting myself into some trouble. So let me take as many hours as I can so I can take whatever I make and use it to compound the money that I have today so it can multiply for the future. Like you're just making decisions for the future. I'll be 50 this year. Man, am I happy I did that. It's just one of those things where you're like, but again, like those little small decisions where I was kind of like, well, I could go party, I could hang out, but I'd probably get in trouble. Let me just work. And I remember working, if I could work 16 hours in a day and then sleep the rest and then wake up and do the same thing, I would. And I'm not sure how many married folks are listening when I look at our stats. Ultimately, it's, I think it goes down to about as low as 34 and then falls off significantly after that. But if there is a young person listening, the decisions you make today shape your future. And I would say even for those of us who are more mature, I've had the question from many folks like, would this work for me? I'm in my 60s. Would this work for me? I'm in my 70s. And what I found is that most transformation takes a year to 3 years. And so if you plan on being around that long, then yes, it is not too late. The decisions we make today impact who it is that we become tomorrow, what it is that we create tomorrow, etc. I want you to imagine with me for a moment who you would be. And most of us have that decision we avoided where you're like, woo, or that decision that we just didn't make. And so I want you to imagine with me for a minute, who you would be if you hadn't avoided that one decision, like that one bad decision. Or who you would be if maybe you had did the thing that you were afraid of. And, the scary part is most of the time that's not we're not privy to that. We've let it go. We've kind of we've justified the reasons for why we wouldn't do that. One of the things I think about that transformed my life was my mom. She called me up one week. This is years ago. Again, I'm mid-20s. And she's like, hey, there's some entrepreneurs coming in town. They have a conference. I plan to go. I think you should come with me. And you already know, 24, 25, 26. I was in that area. I was like, oh, my goodness, really? Really? And, of course, I didn't say that out loud to her. But in my mind, I was like, oh, man, I ain't trying to do this. Why she always call me on these kind of things? And so she was like, I need you to make a commitment to me because my mother knew me, right? She knew if I didn't say yes. And a lot of times the conversation her and I would have is I would say, let me see. I'll let you know. She's like, Linnell, that means no. Don't, tell me yes or no. Don't leave me hanging. I can ask one of my friends, but I prefer for you to come with me. And now, after all these years, I realized why she wanted me to come with her, right? She was thinking about my future. No different than when I tell my son, hey, you rolling with me today. And he's like, he told me last night, Dad, man, I don't like hanging out with you. We got to make all these stops and you got to go to one building and to the next and you got to do these things. And in my mind, I'm like, I want him to see what I'm doing and what I'm up to. In his mind, he's like, I could be playing. I could be, I'm in the back of this truck. Just, why am I hanging out with you? So I completely get it. And the reason I'm doing that in turn, and he feels like he's suffering, is because I want to disrupt his future. I want to disrupt his future in a powerful way. I don't want him to have a normal future. I don't want him to have an average future. Because when you look at a normal future and an average future, in today's terms, it doesn't look good when you look at the average person, the so-called normal person. And so my mom, she calls me up and, I'm kicking the can. I'm like, Ma, she's like, yes or no. So finally I'm like, okay, yes. And you know how you said where you're like, I hate I said that. But she was burdening me, right? That Friday, it was a Saturday morning. That Friday night, I went out with some friends. And by the time I got home, she called me that morning. She says, hey, I'll come pick you up. I was staying in my own place. I'll come pick you up. And I was like, Ma, I don't know. She's like, you committed to me. It's like, all right. And so I went. I went out and at this conference, I can't remember exactly where it was, but there were two things that I remember about this conference. They talked about real estate and the power of real estate. And like, it really hit me. And I had bought my first property at this point. So I had to be like 25, 26. But I was, I was satisfied. I was doing more than most people around me. So I was like, I'm good. But they talked about the power of real estate. And then they talked about the stock market. And I remember that really, and the gentleman was kind of like, hey, look, this is how the wealthy maintain their wealth. This is how those who want to be wealthy get wealthy. And he was sharing. And I remember getting up and going to the back and grabbing them. Back then, everything, now we got QR codes, right? It's right from you. But back then, you had to get up, go get the sheet, and there was carbonated paper behind it. You take it back, and they're like, sir, fill that out. Bring it back to us if you're interested in this, right? So I filled it out, address, take the first layer off, give them the pink one. And then they're like, do you plan to purchase this? I'm like, I do, but I don't, it's a $5,000 course. I don't have $5,000. I said, well, we can put you on a payment plan, sir. Put $500 down today. And I had a little credit card. That probably was my limit on the credit card. I said, okay. And I gave my credit card and then gave me back the yellow sheet, right? You guys remember that. Folded it up, put it in the envelope. We're looking forward to seeing you in Lowell, Illinois for the first course, sir. Like, okay. I made a decision. I invested in myself. Now, at the time, like I had, these thoughts and dreams around what that could do for me, right? Man, I had no idea at 25, 26 where it would put me at this point in my life. Just one decision, right? One investment. And by the way, back then I would spend money that I really didn't have, but I only spent it on self-improvement, on things that I felt would take me to the next level. The next day, I'm excited about this, right? The next day, it's a Sunday, hanging out with a buddy of mine. Was not in church. This is who I was at 25, 26, hanging out with a buddy of mine. And I tell him I'm excited about this decision I made. I'm like, hey, man, I bought this course. I'm about to learn how to trade stock. And he was like, what? I'm like, yeah, I bought this course. I learned how to trade stock. I'm excited. I'm going to learn how to trade stock. And he was like, how much does this course cost you? I'm excited, man. I'm like, $5,000. And he was like, what? You stupid, man. You let them get your money like that? And you know how you have that moment where you're like, did I make the right decision? Now, here's the thing. When I made that decision, I was thinking about my future, not his, right? And I told him about something that I did without the context. I didn't tell him, hey, I'm thinking about my future. I said, I spent $5,000. You see and so in his mind, you spent $5,000. Ain't nothing, at our age, ain't nothing worth that. In my mind, I'm thinking I'm investing in my future. And I'm making a decision that's going to disrupt a normal future, a regular future. Now, in the moment, and I really want us to get this in terms of how we disrupt our futures, because in the moment, my credit card is maxed out because I got about a $500 to $1,000 limit, which means I don't have any more spending power. And I actually owe another $4,500. In the moment, as I'm thinking about this decision, and my best friend at the time is telling me how crazy I am and how dumb I am, right? I'm like, did I make the right decision? Because it didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. In fact, he was like, man, you ain't gonna have no money for Friday. And, we supposed to be doing this and that. And I'm like, oh, man, he's right. Because I got to pay this bill now. I got to hold my money because I have $5,000. I just don't have $5,000, $4,500, which is left. And I still got to pay the credit card. I don't have that kind of money. He was like, boy, you done blew your whole summer. Decision, right? I'm evaluating the cost of today's decisions. So I'm like, well, I mean, these classes, they were like on Saturday mornings anyway, so probably shouldn't hang out on Friday nights. So it's cool. And so I went my own path. I'm like, y'all can kick it. I got to get rest. I just invested $5,000 into my education. And so I got to be up on Saturday mornings. And it's like maybe 2 or 3 weeks later, I remember the first morning. So obviously I didn't go out that Friday night. Now, and I want you to back up, right? My mom calls me. I make a decision. I say yes. That was the first decision, right? I attend the seminar. I hear real estate's guy stuff costs a lot less, right? They hit you. I had to go to another thing where they hit you for more money there, right? But I signed up for that, and I signed up for the stock trading course. So I'm making these decisions. I made a decision, but the first decision, I really want you to get this, was a decision where I said yes to my mother. Yes, and I remain committed. Yes, I'll go. And then keeping my word, keeping my commitment and going. And then seeing an opportunity and then committing, saying yes again, making another decision and saying yes again. And then from there, keeping that commitment too. Because this what happens is this layers. And I just want you to think about the decisions you've made in your life that you committed to 100% and how that played out. And the decisions you made in your life where maybe you were like, it's too hard. I'm not going to do it. Doesn't make sense. I'm going to quit. And then fast forward to today. How did that play out? Now, I don't have to tell you much more about the real estate course and the stock trading course. Like, it's probably pretty clear how that played out. In fact, because of what I've learned, as the price of silver, thanks to one of the listeners that sent me a video, I saw a brother send me a YouTube video on silver. I was like, really? So I jumped in, but I know how, right? Because of the decision I made 25 years ago. Trading and watching that portfolio grow, right? Because of the decision I made 25 years ago. I'm able to take care of my family, my children in a way that's different. And that's just real estate and trading and not the other things that I've said yes to throughout my life. That, by the way, are highly uncommon. Almost everything that I've said yes to, decisions I've made, and I'm not talking about, I'm talking about tough decisions, right? Decisions where I have to put my money where my mouth is. Almost all those decisions, now, I'm certain anybody that's close to me when they look at the decision, when I made the decision, they were like, what are you doing? Right? But now it's like, oh, I see why you did that. And they were uncommon decisions. Right now, the Slayer Goals community, they're, I would say about 10% of the community is doing a cleanse, a detox and parasite cleanse, started yesterday. Now, I want you to hear this. 10% of the community, the entire community, it was exposed to the entire community. And by the way, anybody who chose not to, there were some that I know were already doing things, right? One person just finished up a fast. Somebody else had finished up a 30-day cleanse. That's awesome. But then there were other folks who that sounds difficult. No. And no judgment. But again, how are the decisions that we make today disrupting our future? Disrupting our future in a good way, in a way that we want to experience. And almost always, any decision you make today that is disrupting your future in a good way is a little painful today, which is why we don't make those decisions. It's a little painful today. If you intend to have phenomenal health going into your 80s and 90s, you have to make painful decisions today. Like decisions that are uncommon. Decisions that most people would say, why you do that? Why you doing that to yourself? Just have the cake. Just drink the drink, right? I mean, what's the big deal, man? And one of the reasons we think this way is because we think moment to moment without necessarily looking out and saying 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, who do I desire to be? How do I desire to feel? How do I desire to show up? And what pain must I experience now? Not even pain. Really, it's just discomfort, right? The cleanse doesn't cause pain. Just a little discomfort. You know, a little discomfort. You know, stomach's a little hungry from time to time. But not, there's no pain, just discomfort. But am I willing to make decisions today that make me uncomfortable in this very moment that secure the future I so desperately want? What about your relationship? What about your relationships? You know, I've had someone really close to me, you know, ask me questions about my marriage. Hey, man, I see how you show up, how you do it. How you do it? How you know, one woman? And I tell them, I say, well, I chose her because when I look off into the future, that's who I want to be with. And so I'm willing to remain uncomfortable in the tough times of the relationship, but stay committed to her so I can get what I see in the future. So I won't always be this strong, right? I won't always look this way. My beard may not always be this black. It's already got some stuff going on in it. And then, will I be surrounded by a love I can trust? A love I can depend on? Like, you know, making decisions right now, today, that disrupt the future I do not want. What about money? What is it about money that when we spend it in the moment for that thing we really want makes us feel so good? It actually feels uncomfortable to walk away. The outfit, the jacket, whatever it may be, you look at it like, oh, that's nice. And it's almost like you go into this fog. Gotta have it, gotta have it. And if you can actually look into the future and say, well, but wait a second, I'm playing a different game here. Playing a different game. Maybe I should hold off. It feels uncomfortable. Maybe instead of clicking the buy now button, right, with all the stuff in my cart, I should take the sum total of what's in that cart and put it in my savings account. And I think one of the reasons this becomes so difficult for us is because, let's say what's in the cart is $200. It feels like $200. What's the big deal? I got $200. I can spend $200. If I add $200 to my savings, how does that significantly change anything? But it's in that moment, right? In that moment, if you keep creating moments like that, they compound, they transform. That's how every decision works. What about spiritually? I can't think of anything more uncomfortable than maintaining spiritual connection, because you're almost forced to do what everyone else is going, like, hey, do something different. Stop that. Don't touch that. Don't drink that. Don't eat that. I mean, like, maintaining a spiritual connection requires constant obedience. And that obedience is uncomfortable. Your wife says something. Don't respond to that. Don't respond that way. Go hug her and kiss her. Right now. I don't feel like doing that. I don't like her that much. Go hug her and kiss her, right? It's uncomfortable. Apologize. For what? It's uncomfortable. But what is the cost in the future of maintaining the connection today? How are you disrupting your future when you maintain that connection today? If every goal you ever set, you achieved it, what would your life be like right now? What would your life be like right now? And as we go into the break, I want you to think about that. Like, if every goal that I have ever set, I achieved it. I didn't abandon it, but I actually leaned into the resistance and leaned into the discomfort to achieve that thing. What would my life be like right now? But then here's the second part. Because we can lament about what was, or what if the goals I established in 2026, what if I take that same way of being? No matter what, I have to achieve these goals to disrupt the future path I'm on. It might be a health goal. I have to disrupt this goal. I must disrupt this goal to ensure that the path that I'm currently on changes. I think that becomes the really tough question too. What decisions will you make today? Like, even thinking about today, what decisions will you make today that impact the totality of your future? And are you slowing down long enough when you're faced with a decision to actually say, man, this is uncomfortable, but this is for the best. Like, this will take me to the next level. I might experience discomfort right now, but this will ultimately set me up for where I want to go. I am convinced that we live, like, today's world is all about pleasure, man. It is about feeling good. And you can do it back to back to back to back. And then the crazy part is the hangover from a lot of feeling good is awful. It's awful. I mean, binge watch something all day and then try to stand up and move around. Your body feels awful. You feel awful. Your head probably hurts. You've been eating horrible. Like, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. But what scares me the most is I believe that most of us have been seduced in some way to believe that discipline hurts us. And moving any way that we want to, like feeling good, is what is the way to go. And I've always said this, that discipline creates freedom and randomness puts you in a cage. Our lives and how they play out equal the sum total of every decision that we make. As a parent, my life and how my children's life plays out equals the sum total of every decision that I make, that my wife makes. It impacts them too. So then as a parent, I'm like, man, this is so much more important because everything they see, they emulate. Everything we do has a consequence on them. Keep them up late, they get sick, right? Like everything has some type of impact. And so one of the reasons that most futures don't change is because we do not practice awareness in the micro decisions that we make. We do not steer towards momentary discomfort for future pleasure. Like it doesn't matter how I feel now. What am I locked in on? One of the things I've been talking to the Slay Goals membership community about coaching community about is clarity. Clarity. Clarity, vision equals discipline. When I am clear, then I'm willing to make decisions that will disrupt my future in a great way. But when I'm not clear, the reasons most futures do not change is because there are too many goals left undone. And then for what? Can you even remember what replaced the goal? There's too much potential left unfilled. For what? For what? There are too many people living on autopilot and not intention. Even coming in today, I'm watching people drive and I'm like, we get so caught up in right now. I'm like, where do you need to be right now that requires you to drive like this in an unplowed expressway? It just kind of blows my mind. I have a commitment to show up for a radio show. That still is not going to have me put my life in jeopardy in this moment, right? My family in jeopardy in this moment. But most of us I drive fast, so I drive fast on autopilot. The decisions we make, often we're not even examining the impact. It's just about how does it make me feel? What we eat, how does it taste? And you got to check this out. It tastes so good. What's in it? I very seldom, I just spend time with a few other couples, and we had, phenomenal food, grateful and blessed. We had a chef, and hey, this tastes good. Well, we knew what was in it because we had a chef, right? But most of the time, nobody asks, hey, this is so good. Really? Where'd you get it from? Not what's in it. What's in it? Hey, if you're enjoying what you're watching right now, do me a quick favor. I want you to hit the like button and make sure you subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to tap the notification bell so you never miss when we drop new content. Seriously, it means the world that you're here. Thanks for watching, and let's get back to it. My mom told me something years ago. She's like, Linnell, be careful who you share a pillow with. That person has a tremendous amount of impact on your life. Who are you dating? Are you asking the tough questions? You want to know something interesting? I've been coaching now almost 15 years. And in that 15 years, I've supported people in either building a successful relationship or watching them struggle in relationship. Here's a common theme that I see. The individuals that build relationships that work, they actually are willing to be uncomfortable in the moment. I'm going to follow my conditions of satisfaction no matter what. I don't care how much I like them. This is the same thing I did when I went through my dating process, by the way, right? And I can tell you some stories where I was like, wow, this young lady is amazing. But I'm looking at she don't meet my conditions of satisfaction though. Boy, am I happy that I went the uncomfortable route. Boy, am I happy that I said no to that temporary feeling of whatever. Y'all get my point. But here's what I see. The people who are willing to be uncomfortable and say no matter what, most of them today are in great relationships. And the folks that continually, and by the way, this year is not even that, how many days into the year? 25 days into the year, right? 25 days into the year, I've had conversations with 3 people who in 2025 went into relationships that they had no business being in. How do I know that? Because I said, and by the way, all the relationships broke down. They went through all kinds of pain afterwards, right? But I asked them all the same question. Hey, when you dated this individual, did they meet your conditions of satisfaction? Every time they got quiet. You know what, Linnell, you always say that, and I should have known better. So here's what happened. They made a decision that felt good in the moment, right? Oh, this guy's got money. He's doing this. He's spending that. Oh, this young lady looks great. Whatever it may be. It felt good in the moment, and then they came out of 2025 suffering. All because they were unwilling to be uncomfortable with the decision they had to make in that moment, just say no. Just say no. Just walk away. What are you tolerating this morning that you know you should not tolerate? It is not tied to the future that you intend to have. You should not be tolerating it. What are you avoiding this morning that you know you should be pursuing because that is what's going to take you where you intend to go? What are you postponing? What are you procrastinating on? What are you putting off? Today's a great day. It's a snow day. There's no reason to go outside. I promise you, I did it for you. They did not. When I tell you they did not plow, they didn't plow anything. From the south to the west to the north, nothing is plowed. There's no reason to go out. Today's the day to get it done. You follow? And even then, we will still push it off. Why? Most people, what I'm finding is most people aren't continually failing. They're just repeating a pattern. It's the same pattern over and over again, same pattern over and over again. And if you're listening right now, you're like, man, okay, I get it. How do I stop? Linnell, I don't have the $500 you talked about in the first. I don't have that. All right, then do it for free. Just go to slayyourgoals.com, download my book for free. For free. If you don't have money for internet, somebody else does. Tell them download the book and send it to me. Print it out for me. But this is the idea. There is a resource no matter where you are. There's an opportunity for a reset. There's always an opportunity for a brand new starting point. And there's always a tool that will disrupt you being on an autopilot. But you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. You have to be willing to have a little temporary discomfort in this moment to create the comfort that you intend to have tomorrow. This is how it works. I'm going to tell you the one thing that troubles me the most. As I was thinking about this particular topic in terms of how do we disrupt our futures? How do I begin to evaluate every decision I make and whether or not it's in alignment with where I want to go? The thing that came to me was like, man, in today's world where there's so much information coming at you, what's not coming are the things we absolutely should know. That's what's not coming. Those things you have to go search out for yourself. Those things you have to read for yourself. The things that we absolutely should know. What are some of those things? I'll tell you. I think top of the list is the Word of God. But it takes time. It takes time. It takes time to read the scripture. It takes time. But if that's a manual for life, like how can I forego it? But it requires you to actually sit down and be uncomfortable. But what I realize is most people, man, they don't know what's in between the two sides of that book. And this ain't, what I'm saying is not popular, but most people don't know. Why? Because there's too many series to watch. There's too many other things to do. Discomfort in the moment that serves where it is that I intend to go in my life. This Sunday, some folks are headed somewhere. How do you know if they're lying to you or not? How do you know if they're teaching you right or not? Right? Read for yourself. Find out for yourself. That's number one. Number two, the universe is governed by particular laws. Whether you know the laws or not. You could say whether you know the word or not, whether you know the laws or not. Each one of these things, whether you know it or not, they have an impact on you. I'm telling you, man, we got to get to a point where we're willing to slow down and do whatever it takes to govern our lives accordingly. But it requires discomfort. And the way this society is set up is they got the next thing for you. They got the next thing for you. I was watching the game last night and Lakers against Dallas, watching this game. And they're like, after this, right? Don't turn, because right after this, I got something else for you. If you don't have an agenda, the agenda is set. I promise you. Like, what's going on with us mentally? What's going on with our society that it has us like locked in to things that don't really matter. The present moment is where all of your power lives. In this present moment, that is where all your power lives. Your power doesn't live in the future. Your power doesn't live in the past. Now, the scary part is a lot of us spend a whole lot of our present in the past. Wishing this hadn't happened, wishing that hadn't happened. If you really understood what happened to me, then you wouldn't, you think about this differently and all woe is me, all based on what happened. And I know, man, there's some horrible things that can happen to people. But in this moment, how will you choose your future? The only place humans can decide, influence, and choose differently is in the present moment. And the reason why vision is so necessary is because it supports you in being decisive in that moment. Here's what the next move is, because I see the future. I see the future I'm looking to build, so this is what needs to happen next. What we do now will reverberate into the unknown corridors of the future. Like what is done now, what you listen to now, what you take in now, all these things begin to have an impact on you. It's interesting. I can recall years ago, I went to South Africa, and the thing that really stuck with me about that trip was the journey I took to Robben Island, where they talked about Nelson Mandela. And I'm bringing this up because some people will say, well, you don't understand my past. When you look at that man's past, he spent 27 years breaking rocks, literally. 27 years of imprisonment, breaking rocks, and sleeping in a cell that's the size of from the end of this table to this wall, man. With a bucket, bro, to handle his business. 27 years. Most of us would go stone cold bitter, right? But this man had a vision. He had a vision that he used every moment of every day to correlate his thinking around, to process his moments around, that when he was freed, instead of an expression of bitterness, he chose forgiveness, unity, and leadership. This is how I know it's possible. It's not me looking past your future like it doesn't matter. It's saying, like, what is the vision for the future? And if I'm focused on that, then I let the past go. When I think about Mandela, his future wasn't shaped by what happened to him. His future wasn't shaped by his past. His future was shaped by the decisions he made in the present moments when he was released. Here's who I intend to be. Here's what I intend to create. Most of us haven't gone through that kind of torture for 27 years, man. You got to go there to really see it. Like, I mean, really, imagine this. Imagine breaking rocks all day, like literally breaking rocks all day, and then being lined up on the shore as they take the rocks that you broke and just dump them into the sea, and then send you back into your little small cell for you to do it all over again the next day. How do you not become bitter? How do you contend with those moments? I'm sure he oscillated, but he had a vision. This is why vision is so important. I want you to ask yourself this. Have I become predictable? And predictable not in a good way, but predictable in, like, yeah, I know I break my commitments. Yeah, I know I eat what I shouldn't eat. Yeah, I know no matter how many times I say I won't do it, I'll cheat on my spouse again. Yeah, I know that, as much as I need to save my money and be more responsible financially, 2026 is headed towards predictably the same way I handle money in 2025. Yeah, I know these things. If that's you, I really want you to ask yourself, like, what's the vision? That's the only way to really, truly break out. Like, what's the vision that you have for your life? And then based on that vision, what requirements do you see that will begin to shift the trajectory of your life? And yeah, they may be uncomfortable, but vision equals discipline.
This is what the problem I have right now. I always wanted to bring unity. People, I have a family of 12. I have 9 aunts and uncles and 18 grand aunts and uncles. So I'm from a big family. So we were unified. So my whole thing is to be involved in the city of Chicago, state of Illinois, county of Cook, is to bring black people in unity. But unfortunately, it has not happened. Even though I got away from a failed marriage, 14 years, I got away from the church, the traditional church, 14 years. I want to get away right now from the people. We have 12 ministries and organizations that a lot of us are involved in. But the mindset right now, I can't get them to see. And I deleted a lot of people off Facebook. I have 12 Facebook pages and all the other stuff. But I deleted people. But then I go back right now. The people that caused me stress and pain and I'm crying. Right now, I lost 2 big contracts that a white man gave me. 2 different white men gave me big contracts so I can help our people. And this is the last thing I'm going to say. I was hired by the United States Census Bureau as a recruiter for the city of Chicago in the community where I live for black people. And I couldn't even find people that wanted to work. And like now, they didn't do a drug test. They only did a background test. And like now, this is what I'm asking you. What do I do? Do I just go get my babies and my young people? Or do I keep trying to bring these grown-ups with me? What should I do? You tell me.
I'll be straight with you, Darva. I don't have that answer, because what it sounds like to me is that you've been given a particular passion and a particular purpose. And the only true answer can come from the Creator himself. And what comes to my mind is that some answers we don't get unless we pray and unless we fast. And
we got that. We got prayer calls.
Okay.
14 years.
Fasting?
14 years. Yes, I do that 4 times a year.
Okay, I got you. Well, I mean, in particular for this, though, in particular, like with the vision that you have and really, really like saying, I need answers. Because here's the reason I can't answer this.
Well, what would you do? And then, okay, you can't answer my question. But if you was in what I just said to you, then tell me, how would you handle that yourself then?
Well, the only way I know how to handle it is what I do here on the air. And you hear me. I have a vision for our community. And I address the community in the way that I see the community. I see the potential. I see what's possible for our community. And at the same time, I see I see the things that are eating at our community like a cancer. It's one of the reasons I talk about health the way I talk about it. One of the reasons I talk about relationship, and I'm an advocate for marriage, because I know it will transform our community. I believe that family and us really, really locking in on family will transform our community. I believe that as a community, when you look at our overall spending power, I believe it went up to 1.5 trillion in the last couple of years. When you look at that as GDP, that as a community, as a group, we have more economic power than some European states, right? And so what it really comes down to is vision. And that's what's missing, and not a vision that comes from one particular individual, because we see what happens in our community when a vision is cast by one person. They take that individual out, but a collective vision. a collective vision. And it sounds like, Darva, you have a vision. And one of the things that I know is that when you are striving for something, it's not going to be comfortable, nor will it be easy. And instead of using resistance as a message that it's not working, I tend to use resistance as a message that I am headed in the right direction. I am indeed leaning in the right direction. And so this morning, I want to encourage you, because if you're experiencing resistance around all the things that you're looking to do to support this community, that means that you are leaning in the right direction. Because that is our work. Our work is to lean into the resistance that comes up as we pursue the vision.
Hallelujah. Praise God.
I will tell you this. I've been on the radio now 13 years. In February, it'll be 13 years solid. And there are times where I've asked myself, does it really make a difference? Is what you're saying really, does it really matter? And the thing that comes to mind for me is, number one, I can't stop until I'm absolved by the Creator, until I'm told clearly by the Creator, your time is done. That's number one. Number two is I may never know the person that it touches. That's the power of radio. I may never meet the person that it touches. And it's good to hear words like that from Tommy and words like that from you, because it says, okay, someone is listening, but the real impact I may never know about. And that's why in any work that we're doing, it has to be a vision that is given to us by the Creator. So that's who we follow, and that's who we take our orders from. And then whatever exhaustion I feel, whatever depletion I feel, that's who I go to be restored.
My purpose, I just had a terrible storm I just got out of. And one of the radio from WVON audience helped me get through it. Okay. And it's like, it's accumulation of years of being around. Too much sex, too much drugs, too much partying, too much no family structures, too much, about the government. And people like you that are trying to preserve your family, keep your family traditions, worry about, the next generation or have concern for them is what keeps me going, because I'm going to share all of my information with people like you, especially men, so that they can be the leadership, because all the world needs the leadership. Black men have always done very well with leadership, and you all should not be self-insecure about that, because you have. And with all this drug addiction that's out here, people like you and T.O. Hardiman, gang prevention, and something to think about other than drugs, as well as academics, these are things people should be involved in. And this is my purpose, is to make sure that people do these things instead of drugs. Because when I was growing up, it was mostly a lot of marijuana and ditching school. And even though people were smart and things like this, okay? So we got to get these drugs out of the lives of people. That is not a spiritual makeup of a human being. I mean, in Islam,
I'm gonna tell you this. I'll tell you this, that when drugs, what they do is they numb. And because so many of us are in pain, and part of the reason we're in pain is because of poor decision making, or a disadvantaged past, and many times being born to parents that were also drug users or didn't have the tools to raise us. So then as a result, we experience pain as children. We grow up, we want to numb it, right? One of the reasons you'll notice that drug use is typically highest among young people and individuals who have poor economic opportunity is because they're trying to escape something. And that's what it is. And we're not being taught to actually look it in the face. And we're not given the tools to do that with. Hey, we can't do life alone. Like this, we live in a multi-dimensional realm. And we are spirits who are navigating the physical realm. And if you're trying to do the physical realm without spiritual support, it's going to be almost impossible. And so most people who are doing that, they need an outlet. And that outlet, the only thing they can grab a hold of is something that takes them out of the physical realm, out of their bodies and numb them. And so that's why we have these epidemics. That's why we have these particular situations. And so that's why you hear me talk about vision the way I do, and push spirituality and awareness around the idea that we live in a multidimensional world the way I do. So people understand that, hey, what you're experiencing physically is only one aspect of your journey. There's also a spiritual aspect that will free you from whatever you feel physically bound by. And so that's why, I tell people all the time, hey, it's difficult for me to coach. It's difficult for me to speak or talk if I can't bring the spiritual aspects, the reality of the spiritual aspects and what we face as human beings to those conversations. I think we forget. So let's go to, the 12 universal laws. One of the laws is the law of polarity. And that everything has an opposite. So you believe in Yahshua the Christ. I'm with you. And his father, Yahweh, and likely the Trinity, which means that there's a polar opposite. And that also means that in almost everything I experience, there are two decisions that I can make. One that keeps me aligned and one that does not. Now, here's the thing about the one that does not. It never comes as a direct assault on my faith. This is why he's called the great deceiver, right? It always comes as a little opening for a way for me to get away with something or to do something that in my spirit I know isn't right. But, I'll do it anyway. And this is the conversation that we're in every day. Today's topic, how to disrupt your future. You want to disrupt your future? Stop listening to the great deceiver. But see, and if I can do that, then all of a sudden, these other decisions that require discomfort become a little easier. Because, I was talking to a group of men, and one of the things I was saying was, okay, you see a beautiful woman. Now what? Because the deceiver will tell you, well, you can have that and all the pleasure that comes with it. But what he won't say is that he won't tell you the consequence. And as men and women that are followers of Yahshua, we have to always be thinking about the consequence. What is the vision that I have, not just for my physical life, but for my spiritual well-being? And does this align? And then make decisions from that place. And again, talking about evaluating the cost of today's decisions, that's in every moment. So I appreciate the phone call. I'm right there with you, brother. Very great comments.
Well, yeah, I believe that, right thinking followed by right action will determine where you are and where you're supposed to be. I also read Deepak Chopra.
Yeah. Okay.
I read that, and it's called Journey into Healing, which is the awakening of the wisdom within me. So I'll leave you with that.
What were you saying about randomness earlier?
Randomness is a cage. Discipline is freedom.
Okay.
Does that click, Susan?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
It's like, I'll tell you this. Here's what I'm finding in the short amount of time I've been on the planet. Here's what I found. Almost everything that will support where we want to go is counterintuitive. It's not the thing you feel like. It's always the thing that feels the most difficult, right? Everything. You look at anyone who is wealthy, right? I use money because that's the thing I think that most of us really get. But these guys live lives that most of us don't want to live. Billionaires work every day.
Yeah.
The reason many of us aren't there is because we want the weekend off. You get where I'm going? It's counterintuitive, right? And then we'll say, well, I need to have balance. But do you? Like, are you balanced? Look at your 4 pillars of life. Where's your health? Where's your relationships? Where's your money? Your career? Where's your spirituality? Like, for most of us, we're off balance, but then we'll excuse ourselves and say, but I need balance. And so almost everything that we're supposed to do is counterintuitive. It's counterintuitive, right? Think about this. If, there's a lot of snow on the ground right now, and if something begins to happen in front of you, the thing that you feel the urge to do is slam on the brakes. Well, no, you don't want to do that. You'll slide, right? So the right decision is counterintuitive. But a person who's not a skilled driver doesn't know that. Counterintuitive is just let go and allow the car.
Your natural instinct.
There you go.
Is really the polar opposite of what moves you forward.
There you have it. That's a great way to end the show.
And our natural instinct is our base desires.
Our base desires. And so if I can subdue my base desires, which is why this thing is spiritual, because my physical desires, right? I mean, my community, we're going through a cleanse right now. That's counterintuitive to actually say, no, let me do something that requires more intention and work. But that's where you see the reward in life. Susan, thank you for the phone call. I got to close the show. That's a great way to end the show, though. Great way to end the show, because how do you disrupt your future? You begin to make decisions that feel counterintuitive to what you normally would do. Counterintuitive. I normally wouldn't, this relationship, this person, my spouse upset me. I normally wouldn't say, I really want us to work. And what I would normally do is, you know what you need to do? But instead, I love you. I really want this to work. That's counterintuitive. That doesn't feel natural and normal. And what I have found is that the deepest wisdom of life is doing the thing that is counterintuitive. Thank you for watching Inspirational Perspective. If you love this show and you want to see more content like this, you can go right here. And if you like this subject and you want to see much more content that we have available for you, just click the button here. As always, thanks for watching. Be sure to watch the show live, 7 a.m. every Sunday morning on WBON Radio, or you can catch it right here on YouTube or Facebook.com/Coach Linnell Harris. Be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe so we can get more content just like this to you.